Hi there, good morning. You're watching Chart Busters, a show where we highlight all the buzzing stocks of the day, get you expert advice on how to capitalize and trade on those stocks. I'm Mangla Malu. With me is Reema Tendulkar. Reema, good morning. For the markets, we're a little off the highs of the day. However, the Nifty is still holding above the 11,000 mark. We have the mid-cap index still holding with about 100 points in terms of gains. The Nifty Bank is the one which has come off the most in just the last 15 minutes. But if you take a look at March itself, and by March I mean just the last 3 trading sessions, we've seen a 2.5% gain come by on the Nifty. The Nifty Bank has gained about 3%. The junior, mid-cap and the small caps is where most of the action is. 4% to 8% gains seen on all these individual indices. Below the indices, beneath the surface, we've seen bigger moves come by on a lot of stocks. And more importantly, tomorrow is the weekly options expiry. Let's see 11,000. That's where the battle is for both the bulls as well as the bears. This is what tomorrow, the put has seen about 10.5 lakh shares being added, premium around 35. And the call, that one should come up for you too. As the markets have come off the highs of the day, we've seen about 2.83 lakh shares added in the calls as well. Both of them fighting for a premium of around 70-80 rupees.
Okay, so after that kind of a stunning rally that we've put in the last few days, you can't fault the markets if the rally fizzles out a bit. So as we speak, the Nifty holds that 11,000 mark, but off 40 points from the day's high. On the mid-cap index as well, it's up 100 points. And it's given up 100 points from the top. And keep your eye on names like an HDFC Limited, an ICICI Bank, an Infosys, Titan. These are a couple of the heavyweights which have given up some of their early morning rallies. And names like a Yes Bank and Adani Power have actually nosedived in the last 30 minutes or so. But let's take a quick look at the top headlines at 10:30. Markets give up morning gains, but the Nifty still holds that 11,000 mark. Select private financials like HDFC Bank, Axis Bank drag the market lower. The mid-cap index outperformance continues.
ITC surges in trade today after CNBC-TV18's newsbreak has been confirmed. The company hikes prices of Bristol, Flake XL and Capstan cigarettes. Morgan Stanley has an overweight call on the stock. They say cigarette price hikes will drive the stock further.
Divan Housing is strong in trade. The company releases an independent chartered account report on the Cobra Post allegations. The company has not promoted any of the alleged 26 shell companies that are borrowers. Edelweiss surges on the back of news that Canadian fund CDPQ will invest 1,800 crore rupees in the company's NBFC arm.
Now the stocks to news, a big negative coming in for Bharat Forge. North America Class 8 truck orders have slumped 58%, 16,700 units in February, year on year. Reliance Capital comes off the lows of the day as ICRA downgrades rating by a single notch from A1 plus to A1.
Wipro surges, the stock goes ex-bonus in the ratio of 1:3. The street awaits the next trigger, which is the buyback announcement.
All right, well, the markets come off the highs of the day. The Nifty Bank's actually turned into the red as we speak. So 27,550 thereabouts is where the Nifty Bank is currently trading. Majority of those cuts have come by primarily on account of Yes Bank, which is at the low point of the day, and ICICI Bank, that one too has come off the highs. Meanwhile, we're getting some news coming in from a government official who has spoken to an agency, Newsrise. The cabinet may discuss extending 15,000 crore rupees worth soft loans to sugar mills. And this is exactly the conversation that we had with Praj Industries just about 30 minutes ago on our channel, where Praj Industries told us that the government has sanctioned the viability gap funding. So maybe this is something that has come about. The cabinet will discuss the ethanol policy, discuss the fresh ethanol policy. As a result of that, we will see some positives coming by on all the sugar stocks, which in any case have been moving higher over the last few months. But Ashwini, your call on the markets, 11,000 still holding for the Nifty. The Nifty Bank's given up. Do you think that chasing the rally in the morning was perhaps a bad idea, and one needs to warrant a fresh look at the markets right now?
I mean, you're off 30 points. See, the idea is that, 10,950 to about 11,020, 30. This seems to be a point from where the markets have reversed. So now that these points are below where we are trading right now, this is again a point of accumulation. And as and when the market bottoms out and again takes out 11,050, this will be the next leg of the rally. It's hardly 400 points. This is just basically the start of a mid-cap move along with large caps, and this is where you should accumulate. Even if you took profits off, if you didn't take them, then just hang around here and keep your 10,950 type of stop. I would think that a lot of people had blinkers on and they missed out the rally, and now chances are that the second round of buying is often the stronger buying, and now stronger money comes in which was waiting on the sidelines, and that jumps in and that takes the market to higher levels. Having said that, individual stocks, PVR is a buy with a stop of 1500, target of 1610. Edelweiss is a buy with a stop of 160, target of 175. And Reliance Infra is a buy with a stop of 137, target of 150.
Ashwini, so one can still buy the markets. There is still a lot of upside left. Will banks be predominantly the leaders of the second leg of a rally that you're expecting?
Definitely, because banks is the dominant sector. Maybe they'll alternate between banks, IT, and mid caps, because the rally has just started. So there'll be many stops and starts, and each time you'll feel like you are going to 10,000. But that's not how things play out. And even this current correction, whatever happens at 11,050, they'll tell you how big the selling is, how large the corrections are. And my sense is that you will have a fairly serious up move before the market stops for a while.
Ashwini, I was just taking a look at Eveready. That stock should come up for you, up around 6.5%, and this one's on the back of huge volumes. In fact, if the block deal graphics come up for you, in fact, about 1.9 million shares or 19 lakh shares, 2.61% equity has been traded on both the exchanges, or this one's on NSE actually. A lot of news flow around Eveready after the sharp underperformance of this stock. Maybe other larger players looking at this company. On the back of this bulk deal, anything to explain any sort of move chartically on Eveready?
See, Eveready has been in this 180-200 zone for last couple of months. Basically, what's happened is nobody owns these stocks anymore, and to accumulate a large position, you need to do block deals, etc. So that way, the liquidity just dries up, and when liquidity is coming back, you will find a lot of volume going into these sort of mid caps.
All right, Ashwini, thanks a lot for that. Your disclosures before we let you go?
I've just added to my Nifty long positions.
All right, he's added to his Nifty long positions. Meanwhile, some news coming in on NBCC, 5% higher on that stock as the company's secured total business was around 804 crores in February 2019. So through the month in February, 804 crore worth new business for NBCC, the stock higher by 5%. But another stock which is surging in today's trading session, this one from the frontline space, we have Wipro, as the stock goes ex-bonus of 1:3 today. The street awaits the next trigger on Wipro. What could the next trigger be? Well, Rima, you're ahead of the curve. The stock up 4%. What exactly is the street waiting for?
Well, the street is now awaiting the buyback announcement to come through. Now that the bonus is out of the way, it's gone ex-bonus today. The next big trigger for the company is going to be the buyback. And remember, SEBI had recently given relaxation for the company to go ahead with a buyback despite the ongoing merger of its subsidiaries. And the expectation is that this will come through before this fiscal year ends, which means in March of 2019. The company is sitting on ample cash, like it's like the case in other IT companies as well. So net cash at $3.6 billion, gross cash at $5.1 billion. And the last time around, if you remember, in FY18, the company had done a tender buyback at 11,000 crore rupees, which was about 7% of the equity. But what happened last time around, which is, in FY18, all the retail shareholders did not tender, which is why the promoters bought back more shares, which pushed up their shareholding from 73% to 74.3%. Now, because the promoter shareholding already stands at 74.3%, if all the retail shareholders do not tender, the headroom available for the promoters to buy back those extra shares, which are available right now, is quite limited. Therefore, it's important for Wipro to make sure the retail shareholders tender. So therefore, is there a case for the company to announce a fairly attractive, buyback price to make sure the retail shareholders tender in this time? Because the last time around, they did not tender the entire amount and the promoter stake had to go up, and now it can't go up beyond 75%. So that is the big trigger which the street awaits. It's the buyback. All the other IT companies, in fact, this time around, Tech Mahindra announced a buyback for the first time ever, and even the other IT companies, Infi, TCS, HCL, have all done with their buyback for this financial year. In fact, on expectations of this, Wipro has now become the best performing stock in 2019 itself. So the 2019 rally stands at 13-14% versus a 10% for an Infi, a 5% for a TCS. So, it's been an underperformer because of weaker financials, but now the street is quite excited that, this buyback should happen. Sometimes it's awaited. We've not spoken to the company or got any confirmation on the timing.
All right, fair point. So sharp analysis as far as Wipro is concerned by Rima out there. Going forward, buyback is the key trigger. Keep an eye out on a couple of these NBFCs, as our ticker team is telling us. Indiabulls Housing Finance was up 10% yesterday. Now the initial uptick has been sold into on Indiabulls Housing Finance. On the other hand, Repco Home Finance, which was higher by up almost 20% yesterday, opened with a bit of a downtick and now has recovered about 7% from the lows. That one's at the high point of the day as well. And before we go into the break, Bajaj Finance, that one too has moved to the high point of the day. Gain of around 1% in just the last 5 minutes. Overall gains for the day up around 2%. We'll carry forward the NBFC discussion on the other side of the break. DHFL and Edelweiss Financial are on our radar, and we'll also talk about ITC, which is up by about 1%.